Hello and welcome to this video all about Oscar Wilde's play The Importance of Being Earnest. The main aim of this video is to familiarise you with the plot of Act 3 in terms of what happens in a very clear and chronological way. The video also finishes with a selection of key quotes from this act. Even though I'm aiming this video at A-level students who might be studying the play as part of their aspects of comedy module, this video would hopefully be helpful to anybody who is studying the play for any course or qualification at any age. This is a play from 1895 and it's a comedy of manners play. So to begin Act 3 is relatively short because the speed of the resolution of this play is very, very quick, and we'll discuss that a bit later. So if you remember from Act 2, we saw that Gwen and Cecily were both very cross with their male counterparts. They both have been found out that they've been lied to, and they have gone into the house very cross, and they make a kind of important gesture about their own sense of morals, because they begin the scene by saying things like, "We won't forgive them, how dare they lie to us, we won't be the first to speak." And then within minutes, if not seconds, they have not only spoken to these men, but they've also forgiven them, which actually suggests that they're quite shallow, because not everyone would forgive being lied to so easily if they had any self-respect or any complexity about them, any substance about them. But because Wilde is crafting these two women as having no substance and instead trivial concerns, that's why they forgive quite easily. Just at the moment that the men have won back their respective partner, the comic villain Lady Bracknell enters. And again, no surprise that Wilde has got her to enter randomly at this moment, because in keeping with her role, she is going to again both physically and emotionally split these couples apart. And pretty much a third of this act is the characters trying to discuss how they can all be with each other, whilst also keeping Lady Bracknell happy with her own wants and desires, not only for Jack and Gwendolen, but for also her nephew, Algy. It turns out, to begin with, that Lady Bracknell is very dismissive towards Cecily, but it's after it's revealed that she has money in the funds that she warms to her. And again, this shows us that Lady Bracknell is very much motivated by wealth, making sure that marriage takes place between people of equal financial standing. But she also says, interestingly and quite hypocritically, that she did not believe or agree with mercenary marriages, which means she doesn't agree that people should marry for money. Of course, she forgets the fact that that's exactly the circumstance by which she married Lord Bracknell, who comically never features in this play. He probably doesn't feature because it's the joke that Lady Bracknell is kind of this matriarchal figure, and therefore he's kind of henpecked and is kind of resigned to the sidelines of this play. After discussing Cecily's profile, which is her side view of the face, like a silhouette, Lady Bracknell says that of course my nephew and Cecily can be married, but Jack steps in and says he can't marry my ward because he's dishonest. This is what he's done at my manor house, and she is too young. She has to wait until she's a bit older to marry. And of course, Lady Bracknell is unhappy about that because she wants her nephew to be married to somebody with money. But it also shows her double standards in the fact that she gets in the way of Jack and Gwendolen's happiness, but seems to be angry at Jack for getting in the way of Algy's happiness. So there's a degree there of double standards. There appears to be deadlock again, and Lady Bracknell conveniently decides it's time to go. We're not getting anywhere with these conversations. We have to go. We've already missed trains, and if we miss any more, it will expose us to comments on the platform, quite comically. So she has to go. And it appears again that the courtship and the proposals and the engagements are on hold. This part of Act 3 becomes very important if you want to know how the ending or the resolution of the play comes about, because it's Chasuble randomly muttering Miss Prism's name in front of Lady Bracknell, which brings about the resolution. Upon hearing the surname Prism, Lady Bracknell says, "Go and fetch her at once," because I want to ask her something. So it is quickly revealed when she does appear that Miss Prism knows a lot about what happened regarding a missing baby. And of course, Miss Prism, as what's supposed to be quite an intellectual governess character, is actually represented as quite stupid and quite flawed because she doesn't understand the difference between a 3-volume novel and a manuscript of such and actually a baby. And you have to be pretty stupid to get those two things confused. Comedy, a lot of the time, revolves around coincidence, and the play finishes very coincidentally, and that adds to the shallowness. So Miss Prism, all along, has known the history of Jack's identity because it's revealed, coincidentally, that Jack is that baby that was found because Miss Prism left the baby in a railway station. And he gets the handbag from upstairs and reveals it to Miss Prism, and she says, "Yes, that's my handbag. Thank you very much for keeping it all these years, although I was greatly inconvenienced being without it." So Miss Prism has potentially a clue as to who Jack really is. And Miss Prism says, "I am not your mother," because Jack comically thinks Miss Prism is to begin with, twice. But she says, "I'm not your mother, I'm unmarried." And she says, Lady Bracknell is actually the one that has the answers for you as to who you are. And Lady Bracknell doesn't make it easy for Jack, but she says that you are the son of my poor sister, which means that Jack and Algy have been brothers all along. And again, that's coincidental because, of course, one of the key things that Jack has been doing is he's been lying about having a fake brother called Earnest. So now fiction becomes fact. This brother Earnest, who's fake, has transformed into a real brother who happened to be Algy all along. So that's another piece of coincidence here at the end of the play. The final coincidence is after searching the army lists, which are contained in quite thick books in the library of the manor house, it's revealed that his name is actually Earnest, and it has been Earnest all along. His full name, Ernest John Moncrief. And therefore, again, coincidence. If you think of the title of the play, the way the play ends, for the first time in my life, I've understood the vital importance of being earnest. You've got a complete reference to the title there, again, showing the importance of being this figure of earnest, whether that be a proper noun or an adjective. So all along, Jack has had a brother, and all along, he's actually been called Earnest. So again, a lot of coincidence there. And one of the final things that we see is all three couples, including Miss Prism and Chasuble, embracing. And the fact that Miss Prism and Chasuble are embracing suggests that, again, they are willing and able to reject their obligations to others, and they are pursuing their own interests and putting society, let's say, on hold. And as a comedy, there is a sense here that they've achieved their love interest. Everything is how it should be. All questions have been answered. Equilibrium has been restored, although there is a sense that deception perhaps will continue to play a part in their lives, even once they have been married formally. So that is how the play ends, and Act 3 is a very quick act. It's a very short act, and again, the pace of this resolution again makes it seem very coincidental and very trivial and without much substance. And Earnest has often been criticised by both students and critics as having absolutely no substance or value. Just focusing on the substance point, that's precisely the point. Wilde has deliberately created a play which seems to have all surface and no substance. So that is the chronology of Act 3, the final act, of course, of the play. To finish this video, as I have done with the other summaries of the other two acts as well, we have a selection here of key quotes from the act spoken by a number of different characters. In terms of the longer quotes, I wouldn't expect students to copy these all out because it can often waste time, and I would ask students to pick words and phrases from these hexagons very judiciously to make sure that they are not harming the precision of their analysis or discussion. So avoiding long quotes is often the best way to go. But of course, in that bottom left-hand hexagon there, terminus, of course, is Lady Bracknell basically calling Jack a terminus because of the fact he was found in a railway station. So it's her way of really quite having a dig at Jack there. Now, despite at the end Jack changing his name to Earnest, who really is called Earnest, I would still argue that students should call the character Jack. He's Jack for the most part of the play, and it can also get quite confusing considering Algy and what he does in Act 2 regarding pretending to be Earnest. So I would still call Jack Jack in my essay, even though he's actually called Earnest at the end. But again, that's up to you to decide in terms of, you don't want to be unclear is what I'm saying. You want to make sure you're clear and the examiner knows who's who. So that is the summary and the chronology of Act 3. Hopefully that was useful, and thank you very much for watching.